There are moments in your life, quiet, piercing moments, when you feel different. Not better, not superior, but set apart. Maybe you've wrestled with loneliness you can't explain, or you've been called to carry burdens that others can't seem to understand. Maybe you've walked through fire, not knowing it was God forging you, not forgetting you. And in the silence of the night, something deep within whispers, there's a purpose on your life far greater than anything you can see. Let me speak directly to your soul. You are not forgotten. You are not ordinary. If you've ever felt like this world just doesn't quite fit you, if you've ever questioned why your path seems steeper, your calling heavier, your tears more sacred, perhaps it's because you are marked not by men, not by your past, but by the very hand of God. Being marked by God doesn't mean the journey is easier. It means the journey is holy. It means your steps are ordered even when the road is steep. It means your heart beats in rhythm with divine purpose, even when the world doesn't understand your song. This is a mystery, a divine truth hidden in plain sight. And those who are marked know, deep in their bones, that heaven is not far off, that eternity isn't distant, and that their lives have been claimed for something eternal, something sacred, something powerful. Now, if you've ever wondered whether you've been chosen in this profound and spiritual way, listen closely. Because these 7 signs might just reveal the truth your heart has been aching to understand. And now, let us uncover the signs. Here are the divine signals that reveal your sacred identity. These are the unmistakable marks of the chosen. Let's walk through the signs that heaven has placed upon you. Now pay close attention to these truths. These are the 7 powerful signs that you are marked by God. Let the Spirit guide you through these revelations. There is a silence that falls on the soul before God speaks, a stillness that feels like exile. If you've been marked by God, one of the first signs you will feel, often painfully, is isolation. Not just loneliness in the sense of lacking companionship, but a deep, aching separation from the rhythms of the world. You begin to feel like you no longer fit. The conversations that once entertained you now feel shallow. The company that once filled you now leaves you empty. You begin to wonder what is wrong with you, why the crowds don't satisfy, why your soul longs for something more, something sacred, something eternal. This is not abandonment. This is preparation. God removes those He chooses. He sets them apart. He leads them into deserts not to destroy them, but to form them. Look at Moses. Before he led Israel, he wandered for years alone in Midian. Look at David. Before he became king, he fled to caves, hunted and haunted by Saul. Even Jesus, before his ministry began, was driven into the wilderness, tempted, isolated, tested. Why? Because divine elevation cannot come without divine separation. You see, the world cannot shape a soul destined to carry the presence of God. It can only distract it, so God, in His mercy, allows isolation to be your teacher. He removes your crutches, distances you from comfort, and places you in a space where only He remains. It's in that empty place that something holy begins to form. In the silence, you start to hear His voice more clearly. In the absence of noise, your spirit becomes more sensitive to His leading. In the solitude, your soul is stretched, made wide enough to hold what He is about to pour into you. But it doesn't feel holy in the moment, does it? It feels like rejection. It feels like failure. You look around and wonder why others seem to belong so easily, succeed so quickly, connect so freely, and yet you are left alone with your thoughts and prayers, walking a road that no one else understands. But that's exactly the sign. That's the evidence. You have been chosen for something different, something that requires a different formation, a different rhythm, a different kind of fire. Isolation isn't punishment. It's a sign that God is about to trust you with something weighty, something eternal. He cannot elevate a soul that is still bound to the crowd. He cannot pour out His Spirit in full upon someone who needs the validation of others to stand. So He allows you to sit in rooms alone. He allows friends to fall away. He allows plans to break, relationships to shift, platforms to shrink. Why? Because He's bringing you to the end of yourself so you can discover the beginning of Him. And in that sacred space, you find a kind of intimacy that no crowd could ever offer. You learn to walk with God in the cool of the evening. You begin to pray, not to be seen, but because your soul is starving for communion. You start to weep, not because you're weak, but because you've glimpsed a love so powerful it breaks your heart open. That kind of formation doesn't happen in the spotlight. It happens in the shadows. It doesn't take root in popularity, but in prayer. And it doesn't feel like promotion. It feels like dying. But what is dying is not your destiny. It's your dependence on anything other than God. He is stripping you down not to leave you bare, but to clothe you in strength from on high. He is pruning you not to punish, but to make space for fruit that will last. And when He is finished, when the silence has done its work, when the solitude has forged your soul, you will rise, but not by your own strength. You will rise in the power of the Spirit. You will walk out of the wilderness carrying something eternal. So if you are in a season of isolation, if your prayers echo in silence, if your heart feels forgotten, if your path seems hidden, take heart. You are not lost. You are being located by heaven. You are not cast out. You are being called up. God is preparing to elevate you. And before He lifts a life, He always sets it apart. There's a weight on your heart that doesn't make sense to the people around you. You walk into a room and feel the atmosphere before anyone speaks. You sense brokenness in others before they confess it. You weep during worship while others stand dry-eyed. You lie awake at night, stirred by a compassion, a responsibility, a sorrow that you can't always name. If you're marked by God, one of the clearest signs is that you carry a burden, a deep spiritual weight that others cannot see, understand, or feel. This burden doesn't come from trauma or personality. It comes from heaven. It's the mysterious load placed on chosen hearts to intercede, to stand in the gap, to feel the pain of others as if it were your own. You're not being dramatic. You're not being too sensitive. You've been entrusted with a spiritual sensitivity that the world cannot comprehend. And often the ones who carry it the most are the ones who feel the loneliest, because they can't explain why their soul groans, why their heart aches, or why their spirit feels full of things that have no words. You might have tried to shake it off. You might have even prayed for God to take it away, begging to just feel normal again. But this isn't a curse, it's a calling. You've been chosen to feel deeply because you've been called to love deeply. You've been entrusted with holy weight because God trusts your soul to steward what others ignore. And while it can feel crushing at times, that burden is not meant to destroy you. It's meant to draw you closer to the heart of God. When you're marked by Him, you begin to feel what He feels. Your spirit aligns with heaven's grief, heaven's mercy, heaven's longing. And you begin to carry not just your own pain, but the pain of others. You feel drawn to pray for people who didn't ask for it. You feel called to speak words of hope into places of darkness. You find yourself compelled to give, to serve, to pour out, while the world around you wonders why you care so much. But that's the mystery of divine burden. It is invisible to everyone except the one who carries it. And often, people won't understand the depth of your calling. They may dismiss your intensity. They may tell you to lighten up or stop worrying so much. But what they don't know is that your spirit isn't weighed down by anxiety. It's weighed down by assignment. You have been called to carry something sacred, and that calling makes you walk differently, see differently, feel differently. There is an ache that comes with being chosen, an ache that doesn't fade with success or rest. It's the ache of unfinished purpose, the ache of compassion, the ache of knowing that your life is meant to be an answer to someone else's cry. You don't always know where the pain comes from. You just know you're not allowed to ignore it. And that's because heaven placed it in you like a seed waiting to bloom. This kind of burden makes you pray harder. It makes you worship more sincerely. It makes you step out in faith when it would be easier to stay comfortable. Because something in you knows you were made for more than ease. You were made to carry the weight of God's love into broken places, to be a voice in the silence, to be light in dark corners. And even when it breaks your heart, even when it costs you rest or comfort, you know deep down you were born for this. You might not always have the words for what you feel. You might not always understand why the burden intensifies at certain moments or lifts at others. But you keep saying yes. You keep showing up. You keep standing in prayer, weeping in silence, believing when it seems irrational, because this is what marked people do. They don't wait for the world to understand them. They obey the one who gave them the burden in the first place. And even though others can't see the weight you carry, heaven does. God sees every tear, every sleepless night, every moment you stood strong when you could have walked away. And though it feels heavy now, that burden is producing something eternal in you, something beautiful, sacred and holy. You are not breaking down. You are being built into a vessel that can carry glory. A life that carries the burden of God is a life that has been chosen for something eternal. There is a voice inside you, both familiar and unsettling, that calls you toward a purpose far beyond your comfort zone. It whispers in moments of quiet, it stirs your spirit in the dead of night, and it weighs on your heart in the rush of everyday life. If you are marked by God, you know this voice well. It is the calling, holy, profound, and undeniable, that both terrifies and awakens you. This is no ordinary call. It is the sacred summons to step into a destiny that will stretch you beyond anything you've ever imagined. This calling does not come with ease or certainty. It comes wrapped in mystery, risk, and vulnerability. It shakes the foundations of your security and demands everything you have, yet offers no guarantees. It calls you to leave behind the familiar, to face the unknown, and to walk a path that few dare to tread. To the natural mind, it may seem frightening. You might feel unprepared, unworthy, even overwhelmed. But this is precisely the nature of divine calling. It terrifies because it is sacred, and it awakens because it is life-changing. The moment you begin to hear this call, you can never go back to the old way of living. The fire of purpose ignites something deep within you, a fierce hunger, a relentless hope, a stirring that will not be silenced. It shakes off complacency and strips away distractions. Suddenly, the things that once held your attention lose their grip. The small ambitions, the fleeting pleasures, the safe routines, they all fade in the face of this higher summons. You begin to see your life through the lens of eternity, as though God Himself is pressing upon your heart the weight of a mission only you can fulfill. And yet the terror remains. The calling challenges you to confront your fears, fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of stepping into the unknown. It presses you to stand when the world would rather you sit down. It demands courage when your soul wants to shrink away. You are forced to face your inadequacies, your doubts, your weaknesses, and to realize that you cannot do this on your own. The calling exposes you, strips you bare, and invites you to trust a strength greater than your own. This tension between fear and awakening is a hallmark of those marked by God. It is the crossroad where transformation happens. The terrifying aspect of the call is not to break you, but to break open the door to your true self. It is a refining fire that purifies your motives, deepens your faith, and strengthens your resolve. The awakening it brings is not just a stirring of ambition, but a resurrection of purpose. It lifts you from the ordinary into the extraordinary, from the mundane into the divine. You might try to run from this calling, to silence the voice with distraction or doubt. You might convince yourself that you're not the one, that someone else is better suited for this task. But the calling won't let you go. It is persistent, patient, and sure. It draws you closer even when you resist. It refuses to be ignored because it is the very heartbeat of God on your life. Those who are marked by God learn that this calling is a sacred invitation into partnership with the divine. It is not merely a job or a task. It is a vocation that transforms every aspect of your being. It shapes your identity, your relationships, your priorities, and your dreams. It compels you to live with intention and urgency, knowing that your days are not random but ordained. And though the road ahead may be uncertain, the one who calls you is faithful. He will equip you, guide you, and sustain you. The terror you feel is not a sign of failure, but a signal that you are on the edge of something holy. It is the trembling before the breakthrough, the darkness before the dawn. So, if you feel that call stirring in your soul, the one that wakes you from complacency and invites you into a life that demands everything and gives everything, you are marked. You are chosen. And in that terrifying and awakening call, you will find the deepest fulfillment your heart has ever known. When God marks a life for His divine purpose, it often comes with an invisible battle that others cannot see, but you feel deeply. If you are marked by God, you may have noticed something strange, spiritual opposition rising up against you, not because you sought conflict, but simply because you have been chosen. This opposition is not always obvious at first. It can begin subtly with moments of discouragement, unexplained anxiety, or sudden challenges that seem designed to shake your faith. Yet this resistance is relentless, persistent, and sometimes fierce, targeting you precisely because of who you are becoming. This opposition is not punishment, nor is it a sign that God has abandoned you. Rather, it is confirmation. Confirmation that your life matters in the spiritual realm, that you are walking a path so significant it threatens the enemy's plans. Wherever there is light, darkness will seek to encroach. Wherever there is a vessel chosen to carry God's glory, spiritual forces will try to disrupt, distract, and destroy. The fact that you encounter this opposition is proof that you are walking in a sphere of influence that matters to heaven and to hell. You might wonder why this opposition feels so personal. You haven't chosen to be a target. You simply desire to live faithfully and follow God's call. But the truth is, the enemy doesn't attack those who are passive or complacent. He attacks those who are awake, who are stepping forward, who are growing in God's grace and power. Your prayers may be met with spiritual heaviness. Your steps forward may be met with unseen resistance. Doors you expect to open may close unexpectedly. Relationships may become strained. Doubts may creep in, whispering lies about your worth and calling. Yet this spiritual opposition is not a sign of defeat. It is the crucible in which your faith is tested and purified. It is the furnace that refines your trust in God alone. Those marked by God learn to recognize these attacks not as signs of failure, but as signs of significance. When the pressure comes, it means you are standing on holy ground. When the fight intensifies, it means you are advancing a kingdom cause. And when discouragement threatens, it means you must cling tighter to the one who called you. You learn to fight not with fists, but with prayer, faith, and the Word of God. You discover that the greatest weapon against spiritual opposition is not resistance, but surrender. Surrender to God's power, His timing, and His perfect will. The battle you face is not against flesh and blood, but against forces you cannot see. And though the opposition is real and painful, it is also temporary. It has no ultimate authority over you. Those who are marked by God develop spiritual discernment, a keen sensitivity to the enemy's schemes. They learn to guard their hearts and minds with the truth of Scripture. They become warriors of prayer, standing firm even when the battlefield is unseen. And they understand that the presence of opposition is a sign that God is with them, because He never leaves His chosen to fight alone. So if you find yourself facing unexpected resistance, if discouragement and confusion rise without clear cause, take heart. These are not signs that you are forsaken, but signs that you are chosen. The spiritual opposition you attract is the mark of one who carries power, purpose, and destiny. It is the proof that heaven has set its eyes on you, and that the enemy is desperate to stop what God is doing through your life. There comes a time in the journey of those marked by God when the noise of the world begins to fade, and in the midst of unexpected places and unlikely moments, you start to hear something different, something unmistakably divine. This is the voice of God, tender yet commanding, breaking through the chaos of life's distractions and speaking directly to your soul. If you are marked by God, one of the most profound signs you will experience is this sacred ability to hear His voice. Not just in the obvious, quiet moments of prayer or worship, but in the ordinary, the mundane, even the stormy moments when it seems impossible to sense anything holy. This voice does not always come with thunder or dazzling displays. Sometimes it is a whisper in the midst of a crowded street. Sometimes it is a gentle nudge while your heart is heavy with doubt. Sometimes it is a sudden peace that rises in the middle of turmoil, a calm in the storm that defies all logic. You may find it in the stillness of dawn or the quiet pause between tasks. It is in these unlikely moments, when you least expect it, that God's voice breaks through and calls you by name, invites you into His presence, and reveals a truth you desperately need to hear. Hearing God's voice like this changes everything. It awakens your soul to a new reality, a reality where God is not distant, but intimately near, not silent, but actively speaking. It disrupts your old ways of thinking, challenges your fears, and stirs your heart to new courage. When God speaks, you begin to live differently. You no longer chase the approval of men or seek answers in empty places, because you have found a source of guidance that is eternal, unshakable, and personal. But hearing His voice is not always easy or clear. At times, it requires quieting the relentless chatter in your mind and the distractions around you. It demands a heart willing to listen, even when the message is uncomfortable or requires sacrifice. Sometimes God's voice will call you out of complacency, exposing areas in your life that need change. Other times it will reassure you in your pain, reminding you that you are not alone. The voice of God is both convicting and comforting, and those who are marked by Him learn to recognize its unmistakable tone amid the confusion of the world. There are moments when this voice comes with clarity, a word of encouragement, a directive, or a promise. At other times, it is more subtle, a feeling of peace, a sudden insight, a sense of direction that only faith can explain. But whether loud or quiet, the effect is the same. It draws you closer to God and strengthens your resolve to follow wherever He leads. You find that no matter the circumstances, His voice becomes a lifeline, a source of hope and power that sustains you through trials and triumphs alike. This gift of hearing God's voice is a sacred trust. It requires humility to acknowledge that you don't have all the answers and courage to obey even when the path is unclear. It also requires faith, to believe that the voice you hear is truly His, even when others question or misunderstand. For those who are marked by God, this spiritual sensitivity is not an accident but a divine appointment. It is a sign that you are chosen to walk in close fellowship with the Creator of the universe, to receive His guidance and carry His message to the world. And so, in the quiet, in the unexpected, and in the moments when the world seems to be shouting louder than ever, listen closely. Because God is speaking. His voice is not bound by time or place. It cuts through the noise of confusion, fear, and doubt, calling you onward. This voice, the voice of your Heavenly Father, is the anchor for your soul, the compass for your journey, and the assurance that you are never truly alone. If you have felt this voice stirring within you, know that it is a mark, a sacred sign that you are chosen, beloved, and set apart for a divine purpose. It is a call to listen, to obey, and to live with a heart open to the whispers of heaven, no matter where you find yourself. There is a mystery about those who are marked by God, a divine paradox that astonishes both the world and the soul itself. When storms rage and troubles press hard upon your life, when pain seems unbearable, and the weight of your struggles threatens to crush you, something remarkable happens. You find joy. Not a fleeting happiness based on circumstances, but a deep, unexpected joy that wells up from a place beyond understanding. This joy is a profound sign that you are marked by God, that His Spirit is alive within you, sustaining and strengthening you in ways that defy human logic. This joy does not come because your problems have disappeared or because life has suddenly become easy. It comes precisely because God has placed His seal upon your heart and His presence fills the cracks of your brokenness. The world might look at you and wonder how you smile when everything seems to be falling apart. They might see you weeping one moment and laughing the next, unable to explain the resilience that keeps you standing. This joy is not denial or numbness. It is a holy response to the reality of God's faithfulness, even when circumstances scream otherwise. You may have asked yourself, how can I feel joy when pain surrounds me? The answer lies in the spiritual realm, where God's power transforms suffering into strength, weakness into courage, and despair into hope. This joy is a fruit of the Spirit, a gift given to those who trust in the unseen, and who anchor their lives in the eternal promises of God. It is the peace that Jesus spoke of, the joy that the world cannot give nor take away. When you experience this joy, you are walking in a dimension of grace that carries you through the darkest valleys. The trials you face become a refining fire, burning away fear, doubt, and selfishness. They purify your faith, sharpen your focus, and deepen your reliance on God. And in the heart of these trials, joy blooms like a flower in the desert, unexpected, resilient, and beautiful. It testifies to the power of God working in you, proving that no matter how fierce the battle, your spirit is anchored in a hope that cannot be shaken. This joy also serves as a powerful witness to others. In a world desperate for hope, your joy shines like a beacon, drawing others to the source of your strength. People see that your joy is not based on what you have or what you lack, but on who you belong to. It is a testimony to the reality of God's presence and His promise to never leave or forsake you. Through your joy, even in suffering, others catch a glimpse of the kingdom of God breaking into the here and now. You might wonder if this joy means you are immune to pain or sorrow. Far from it. Being marked by God does not exempt you from hardship, rather it invites you to experience something greater amidst the hardship. It is joy born not from comfort but from covenant, not from ease but from encounter with the living God. It reminds you that your identity is not defined by your circumstances, but by the one who holds your future. And so, when life's storms come, and they will, you will find yourself able to rejoice, not because you are blind to the pain, but because you have tasted the sweetness of God's presence in the darkest places. You carry within you a joy that anchors your soul, lifts your spirit, and fuels your journey forward. This joy is a sign, a mark, a seal that you are chosen by God and empowered to walk through every trial with a heart that refuses to be broken. This unexpected joy is not just a feeling but a testimony, a living proof that God's grace is sufficient, His power is made perfect in weakness, and His love is unchanging. It is the mark of one who is not only surviving but thriving in the midst of trials, shining as a radiant example of hope and faith to a world desperate for both. One of the unmistakable signs that you are marked by God is the way your life naturally draws others toward hope, courage, and transformation, often without any conscious effort on your part. There is a magnetic quality to your presence, a quiet power that speaks louder than words, a light that shines through even the darkest of circumstances. When God marks a person, He does not only shape their own path, but also sets them as a beacon, an example that others cannot help but follow. This influence is not manufactured or forced. It flows organically from the authenticity and grace that dwell within you. You may have noticed this phenomenon yourself. People coming to you in times of trouble, seeking your counsel, admiring your resilience, or simply feeling uplifted by your very presence. This is no accident. It is a divine imprint on your life that signifies you are carrying something greater than yourself. Your struggles, your victories, your faith, they become a source of inspiration to those around you. Without needing to proclaim loudly or demand attention, your story impacts lives and plants seeds of hope in hearts that were once barren. The power of this influence is rooted in truth and vulnerability. Those marked by God do not hide their brokenness or pretend to have it all together. Instead, they wear their scars like badges of honor, showing others that weakness and strength coexist in the same soul. This transparency creates an atmosphere of trust and authenticity that invites others to lower their walls and open their hearts. You become living proof that God's grace is sufficient and that transformation is possible no matter what one has endured. Your life becomes a testimony to the reality of God's presence and power. Others see in you what they long for: peace amid chaos, joy in suffering, hope when all seems lost. Your faith is a lighthouse for those navigating the storms of life, a silent encouragement that says, "You are not alone. There is a way through." This kind of influence can change the trajectory of lives, heal wounds, and spark a desire for something greater in those who watch you. Sometimes this inspiration is felt in small, everyday moments, a kind word spoken when no one is watching, a consistent pattern of kindness, an unwavering commitment to integrity. Other times it is displayed in moments of crisis, when your courage and faith shine most brightly. Regardless of the circumstance, your life becomes a mirror reflecting God's love and faithfulness to a world hungry for both. What makes this sign even more remarkable is that it requires no performance or pretense. You do not have to strive to be this influence. It is a natural outflow of being marked by God. When He marks a person, He sets them apart in such a way that their very existence glorifies Him. It is as if the divine fingerprint is on your soul, making your life an instrument of His grace and truth. At times, this influence can be overwhelming. You might feel the weight of responsibility, the pressure to always be strong or to never falter. But God equips those He marks, filling them with the strength to carry the burdens of leadership, encouragement, and example. He reminds you that your power does not come from yourself, but from Him working through you. And in this reliance, your influence grows even stronger because it is rooted in humility and dependence on the divine. Your ability to inspire others is also a call to faithfulness. It challenges you to walk consistently in God's ways, knowing that many eyes are upon you. But it also offers a profound blessing, the joy of seeing lives change, hope restored, and hearts healed because you have chosen to live authentically and courageously. This is a sacred privilege and a holy responsibility. So if you have found that your life touches others deeply, that people look to you as a source of strength or encouragement without you even trying, know this: you are marked by God. Your influence is a divine gift, a sign of His hand upon your life, and a testament to the calling He has placed within you. Your journey is not only for your own sake, but for the sake of those who need the light only you can bring.